Time being 6:30, I call this meeting to order of the Planning Board. Under new business, Form A plans, we don't have any. So we'll just go into the public hearing that we'll be having tonight for Horsepower Road. First, I need a vote to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right, let me read the legal notice. Town of West Bridgewater, notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given pursuant to MGL Chapter 41, Sections 81K through 81GG, and the rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land. The West Bridgewater Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026, beginning at 6:30 p.m. in the McDonald Brown Meeting Room at Town Hall, 65 North Main Street, West Bridgewater, to discuss a definitive subdivision plan application filed by J.K. Holmgren Engineering, LLC, on behalf of MJM Construction Corp. The intent of the plan is to improve a portion of Spring Street and create a new subdivision road entitled Horsepower Road, which location is further identified as Assessors Map 15, Lot 004, Lot 009, and Lot 010 in the general residential and industrial districts. A copy of the proposal is available at the office of the town planner for review. Before we get into the meeting, a couple of things. I want to introduce the board. To my right is Mark Bornstein. To my left, Jerry Stetson, Sarah Conley, and I'm Jim Noyes. Before we have the presentation, too, I know we have a lot of interested people in the audience tonight. First, we'll hear the presentation, and then we'll allow the planning board to ask any questions they may have, and then we'll open it up to the floor. So let them go through the whole presentation first before you start answering questions. If you see something you don't like immediately, just hold your tongue and just wait until we recognize you on the floor. And then when we do recognize, state your name and your address for the records. Donna, do you have a sign-in list for these? Also? Okay, great. All right, Attorney Burke, all yours.
Just open it up and then let Scott read it. My name is Jim Burke, I'm attorney at law with office at 48 North Pearl Street in Brockton. And I've represented Mr. Virginia for a while. And I have the pleasure of working with this specific project. I know at the General Department Heads meeting, we discussed it in a few months back with the town, but essentially what you have is you have an existing public way that's first shown on a plan in 1934 or so. It is unbuilt, and the standard that generally applies is that the creation of a roadway that will meet the width, the grade, and the access that's sufficient for its utilization as a subdivision road. Once you get past the Spring Street portion of it, then the subdivision that has been prepared by Scott meets the full dimensions of the planning board. So as to any issues that relate to that earlier parcel, I'm happy to answer them, but I'll let Scott go ahead and divide the two in his presentation and tell us what we're left with for waivers.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Burke. Scott Farrier from Holmgren Engineering. As Attorney Burke said, we kind of have, I guess the easiest way to describe it is a two-part project. The first is the construction of Spring Street through the existing building at 255 Walnut Street, through that frontage, across that building to our lot corner, and then we propose Horsepower Road. As part of this whole approval process, we also have filings that we've made with the Conservation Commission. We have a wetland area off to the east and a couple off to the west behind 255 and then adjacent to Route 24. So we do have that filing going on right now with the Conservation Commission, and are working our way through that process. I think to start, the biggest thing that Attorney Burke touched on is the construction of Spring Street. And in its current state, this is an existing conditions plan coming off of Walnut Street with Pearl Road being right at the top of the page. and continuing down. The cul-de-sac falls a little bit off this page, but the biggest part that we have to deal with is the existing building at 255. What I have outlined in orange is the existing edge of pavement that exists out on the site. And obviously, the Spring Street layout is the black line on either side. So dealing with those parameters, it's 33 feet wide. What we've proposed is we're pretty much locked into sticking with the grades that exist out there already. There's already a curb cut, already truck and employee traffic going to 255 Walnut Street. So we're sticking with those grades. The couple things that we are proposing to get us close to your subdivision standards would be some vertical granite curbing, which I've shown on this page here, again in orange. It would be vertical granite on both sides of the street, leaving curb cuts on the side of the existing building at 255, and then a larger curb cut where the concrete pad and loading area is for 255. And then it would continue down to our roadway. And as Attorney Burke said, our horsepower road meets your rules and regulations as far as construction goes. So for this roadway, within that 33-foot layout, we have a 26-foot wide pavement is what we're proposing within that. And then vertical granite curbing as edging. And we do have drainage proposed, catch basins and manholes. So we're taking all of the runoff that currently, for the most part, the site is relatively flat, but for the most part, everything comes from Pearl Road. We've got an elevation 132, and really 132 and a little bit lower all the way down Pearl Road, and it all sheds down in a southerly direction to elevation 122 and lower on our site. So right now, this whole watershed area is heading to the few wetland systems that exist on our property. So with the introduction of our roadway, we'll be catching it, catching all that runoff in the catch basins, into the manholes, and we'll be piping it down Horsepower Road to our drainage facility that I have shown on this plan, which is, as I said, further down the road, about 800 feet down from Spring Street down to the detention basin there. As part of the submission, we did have a drainage report, drainage calculations, stormwater management requirements were met. It was submitted to both, as I said, to the Planning Board and the Conservation Commission. It's already been sent out for its initial review from the 53G consultant, so we're working through his changes. But for the time being, we're fairly comfortable with the design and feel like that's kind of the end game as to what we're gonna see. And the whole reason for the roadway, this would kind of explain everything. So the Spring Street to Horsepower Road, that would create frontage and area for this one large lot out in the back here. It ends up being about a 42-acre lot, goes all the way down. So that's the whole reason for the development of Horsepower Road and of Spring Street, is to get adequate frontage in area under your zoning bylaw to turn this property out in the back into a buildable property. As it sits right now, it does not have the frontage or the access under your bylaw to qualify for a building lot. So that's the whole reason that we're here in front of you folks and the Conservation Commission, is to turn this into a buildable lot. That's really a quick rundown. I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that, as you know, but I think that at least gets the ball rolling and gives us something to talk about, if you would like.
I know we've had, and you mentioned it too, we've had the peer reviewer and you're working through the comments.
Yes.
I'm assuming, and I can't remember honestly if we've done this in the past, but I'd like written responses.
Yes.
From now on.
Certainly.
Okay.
Yes.
And just so
we haven't made those responses yet. We haven't finalized the responses yet.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Just so everybody in the audience knows, we do have a peer reviewer, Patrick Brennan, who's a PGB Engineering. So I do have those comments, and there's several pages of comments he had on the project, and you have those. I'm assuming, too, you've got Nick Iafrate. Nick Iafrate made some comments.
We did. I think we had maybe 3 or 4 department head comments.
Yeah. Phil McNulty of the DPW's had comments, and Lincoln Tebow from the fire department commented about possibly a loop system for the water, and I'm just bringing these up
Yeah,
so that everybody knows.
If I can interrupt you,
Sure.
I should have mentioned that. That was one thing that was mentioned at the department heads meeting, and we never really came to a kind of a final decision. But from the DPW's letter, the DPW director's letter, he would like us, along with the fire department, to loop the water main. Right now, we have it shown as just a dead-end road, like most of the subdivisions in town are. When Pearl Road was accepted, there was a utility easement at the end of Pearl Road that comes to our property line. So we would be looping the water main down Spring Street, down Horsepower, through the wetland, out to the cul-de-sac of Pearl Road. So it'll create this looped water system. DPW director, I believe he mentions in his letter, he did talk to Tim Hay at Conservation. Obviously, we need conservation approval, but Tim's feeling was that's something the commission typically looks at favorably if it's in the public interest to loop that water main. So the temporary disturbance to the wetland shouldn't be that much of an obstacle with the Conservation
Okay.
Commission. So we will, again, it's not on these plans, but part of the next set of plans you have will show that looped water main system.
And then, yeah, just Wayne Parks had a comment from the water department. So you have, okay.
Yes, sir.
Just want to make sure you had all those. I think next we'll open up the, not going to open up the floor yet, but questions from the board. Just want to introduce too, Jennifer Cruz is also on the board. She's just here too. So. Start with you, or?
Yeah, sorry for being tardy. You said that's a buildable lot or lots?
It would be one lot. It has, again, the frontage and area required under the zoning bylaw for the industrial zone. So it's just one big lot, a 42-acre lot.
Okay. And zoned industrial?
Correct. The zone line runs right through here, and then cuts across the, I guess, the way we come up with it from the sideline, the eastern line of Route 24 is 1,320 feet to the zone line. So your zoning maps give a very specific definition of that zone line. So our portion of the property is industrial. All of our work is entirely in the industrial zone.
And the on and off to the highway, I suppose you're going back and forth to the highway from the industrial zone. What's the route that you travel back and forth to the highway if you're using that lot?
I would assume the easiest way would be Walnut Street over to Manley Street, and then you're either taking a right or a
So passing Pearl
left.
Road, passing that development over there?
I would think we wouldn't go past the Pearl Road entrance, which is up here. I would think you'd come on Spring Street and come right out to Walnut, down to Manley. So I think you would,
Okay.
if it was me, I would be bypassing Pearl Road and getting to Manley, and then either going left to hit 106 or right to hit 123, one way or the other, up and down Manley Street.
How much of Spring Street is getting paved? How far is that road going to go down?
It's about 500 feet, but let me give you
Because like right now, that's a dirt road that goes by the park.
Right, exactly. So if we go back to the existing conditions plan, as you can see, that's pretty much the limit of the pavement that exists right now is kind of the parking area for this property, and then there's a chain link fence.
So that's looking to remain forested on the other side of that end of that
Well,
street.
we're extending it to this point to get to our property line, and then from there down it would be forested. But to answer your question, to give you that distance, let me just flip pages. I can't see the stations there. So it is, it's 800 feet gets us to our intersection. So from Walnut Street, it would be 800 feet down.
800 feet
Yep.
down.
Yep.
And
I'm
that would
just
be
looking at-
33 feet wide.
The
That
layout is
800
33 feet wide, the pavement is 26.
I think there was some notes about that from Pedri Home, from the engineer.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just like, I guess my concern is like, you see Spring Street on the top corner of your map.
Sure.
You're stopping just at the bottom corner
Mhm.
before it takes the left on that. Right?
Exactly, stopping before it takes that hard turn.
Okay.
Right. Yep. Yep. and we would have, our roadway entrance, the utilities and everything would be on our side of the street, on horse-powered. Just in case anything happened in the future on Spring Street, it could be continued. We wouldn't have utility poles or hydrants or anything in the way blocking the further expansion, but I don't know that would ever happen,
Currently, does
but there is that end.
Pearl Road connect to Spring Street? And when you put in Horsepower Road, that looks like, on this plan, it looks like it's even with the connection to Pearl Road.
Yeah, this is on the Pearl Road subdivision plans.
Yep.
It's shown as Spring Street Extension, and it's kind of a gravel, almost like a stone drive that leads you out to the existing parking lot, I'm gonna call it, for 255. So there is no roadway constructed. It's a gravel drive. I would assume the planning board wanted it as kind of an emergency exit. So that would be the only connection. But again, that connection, it does get to Spring Street through a separate parcel of land, but it's not part of Spring Street. So we don't have the ability to use that Spring Street extension out to Pearl Road at all.
And where would the granite curving that's going run along there? Would it cross that gravel area?
Yes.
So that people can't cut through Spring Street from here?
Yep.
I mean,
Yep,
cut through Pearl.
it would be a solid vertical granite all the way to here.
Okay.
And the existing, everything's hard to see obviously at this scale and with this color, but the existing gravel road kind of comes right up through this area here, almost above where our construction would be.
That initially was for Part A, the upper end of Pearl Road.
Yep.
In case there was some sort of an emergency issue, you could get in for it. But basically, it belongs to the homeowners association where the septic system is, and the tenant, landowner, I believe Spadia family.
Yep.
And so it's never was accepted by the town. So
Agreed. Yep.
it was put there for the initial construction and a place for the mailboxes to be put in.
Sure.
But it's of no use to the town, so.
Yep.
And you said the water is going to come in off the end of, you're going to loop it
We're gonna
with
come
the
off
end of Pearl Road.
Yep. So we're gonna come off Horsepower Road, cut right through. There's an existing utility easement as part of the Pearl
What's
Road
that down?
subdivision.
Just before the retention pond that's on Pearl Road?
Yes. Yep.
It's right next to the last house?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
The height of the residential on Pearl Road, what's that in comparison to where your road is going to be?
Yeah, they're about 10 feet higher. They're up at 132 here at the Walnut Street intersection.
Yeah,
And
I'm
as you
talking
come-
down, get down near the
Yeah.
last two houses on Pearl Road. You got to go your next map.
Yeah, that's 124, going through, yeah, there's 126, 124, 120, so they're roughly at 122. And
Yeah.
our property is down at 114.
That's where the extension is.
Right.
Now, go
I
down
get-
further.
I'm sorry. Yep. Yep, so we come here, they're at 106, at the low spot, 108, 110, we'll call it at the,
Yeah.
that's 108, 110, 112 at the cul-de-sac.
Okay, so what is your property?
We're at below that, 110, all these little circles are 110s. So we're 110, 108 as you
The
come down.
problem is water from your property runs down the old Spring Street, which is well overgrown and trees across it and everything else in there,
Yep.
and floods between the last three houses
Right in this area.
in this area here.
Yep.
And when we get a good rainstorm, it comes down between those houses.
Yep. I think,
Is anything in your, water flows downhill, so
Yeah.
it's got to be higher at your end at some point.
yeah. And
Is it that wetland area that is more towards Horsepower Road? You've got a wetland area that's into the residential.
Yep, right here. A
Now,
large
is it-
wetland area
yeah.
right here. Yep.
So that wetland area, what's your measurements in there?
Starting at 112 and getting down to 108, so not much different. really the same as the Pearl Road. It's essentially
So when
flat.
it floods, it's going to go to Pearl Road.
Heading that way, correct. So the one thing we are doing though, by building our roadway out along Spring Street in our section of Horsepower Road, this whole watershed that now comes through kind of this way to that wetland,
Yeah.
we're intercepting at least this much of it into our drainage system and putting it here in our detention basin, which drains off this way.
And your bottom of your detention basins are going to be what? I know it's conservation material now.
Yep.
It's
No,
not with us, but
Yep,
is it going to bring it down below the 108?
yes.
So Mother Nature's
We're
apt to
right
see.
at-
So
we're
Mother
right at
Nature
108.
is apt to take the shorter, the easier route and run towards your detention area than run towards Pearl Road.
Then run that way, right. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And what's going to be the visual for the folks on Pearl Road? Are they going to be able to see an industrial
Boy,
build
it's-
out
Yeah, I mean,
from their backyard?
this distance right here is about, from Spring Street, is about 500 feet. So another 100 to the house, so it's 600 feet through the woods before you would get to our roadway. And on that side of the road is part of the zoning, we're not allowed to have any work except for that water loop that we would have. We can't have any grading, anything at all in that residential zone. So we pretty much have to build a wall right here and make sure we don't touch anything. So there's a 600-foot vegetated buffer
So
between
that's-
our road
yeah.
and their properties.
So that's visual that we're hoping Mother Nature will help with. What about sound, noise? I mean, what are you planning in there? Is that you're parking vehicles now, right? Trucks, is that where you park? But is that what's being, I don't know what the plan for your
There's nothing out
industrial-
there now. It's just, it's vacant land.
Okay.
You know, the owner of 255 has a business there, but that's not us, that's an
Yeah.
abutting property. So there's nothing out there on our property now, it's just vacant. You know, really, we don't have a, proposed use going down the road. It'll be obviously something that fits in the industrial uses in your zoning bylaw.
Is the building construction going to be in there? On your new site?
Sure, I would assume so, yes. We would have a site plan filing and conservation filings at that point, once we
Because
get to it.
I've been led to believe it's just going to be dry tractor trailer,
That's-
similar to what Manny does every place else.
That's what I understood also.
With
So
maybe
that's different.
a building similar to what he's done on Manley Street with an office or a maintenance building.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be huge industrial buildings.
I mean, whatever goes in there is subject to a
Subject to the zoning. and
special
site-
permit for
Right.
the Water Resource Protection District
Yep.
too, so.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that's in the water protection, is it?
I think it may just be on the other side of 24. I don't think it
Yeah,
crosses
I've
24.
Is it?
I've looked hard on the maps, and I can't
Oh, okay.
find it in that
Yeah.
spot.
But at a minimum, it comes before the planning for site plan approval and conservation.
Well, I don't know, industrial, some stuff goes to the Board of Appeals.
Yeah.
I think just if it's a special permit, though. I think.
No, it's
Even a site plan
zoning's
goes
kind
in?
of crazy. It's,
I mean, I wonder what, because, we don't want to devalue the folks who spent a lot of money on their houses over there.
Sure.
And 600 feet is 600 feet, but height, we can't compete with height for
Mhm.
immature trees that aren't going to cover things, so.
is there going to be a buffer of, what is it, Aphrodite or something on that upper end near Walnut? Because you're so close to the houses when you're in that section right there.
Yeah. To be honest, we just don't have the room to do it. Because we've only got that 33 feet that we have control over, we can't do anything.
Any fencing?
We could certainly do fencing. I'm guessing Manny would be willing to talk to the homeowners association if they wanted some type of plantings within their property on that strip.
Because the big thing is if it's a similar trucking setup,
Yep.
Truck drivers sometimes aren't the most considerate people in the world.
Understood.
I'm being nice.
Yep.
And are apt to come down that road 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They think their Jake brake's gonna
Yep.
help them, and it makes all kinds of noise. I'm pretty
Understood.
sure that we can coerce Manny into making sure that there's proper signage that they won't do that. But it's just that the
But on that end,
tractor
the-
trailers make a lot of noise.
A fence would certainly help, and plantings would help. As I said, the fence we can definitely do, just because it's that wide and goes up. So we could definitely do the fence on that side, just the plantings, we don't have room for the plantings on our property. If you know, if it was
And the
discussed
warehouse
to do it on
that
their
exists
property.
now,
Yep.
where's its frontage? Was its frontage technically Old Spring Street?
Yeah, probably, yeah. I mean, it's been there forever, I mean,
Yeah,
they
it
do
was.
have.
It is. It's the frontage of it's on the line of Old Spring Street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got a little bit on Walnut
I mean, it's
Street.
been there for, I don't know, I'm going to conservatively say 60 years or more.
Yep,
It originally was a liquor warehouse. It was a beer warehouse for L. Knife and Sons.
yep.
Way
Yeah.
back. So,
Just to interrupt, my name's Manny Virginia, I'm the owner. So I keep hearing about the, landscape and trees. We'll do whatever it takes. Like, the board's done, permitting for me before, and we've accommodated above and beyond whatever it takes. But there's a 12-acre parcel that's residential. See, point out to that wetland area there?
Over here.
All that
Yep.
is gonna not be disturbed.
Right.
All that tree stays.
are you going to keep it, or are you going to try,
My goal is to keep it.
to keep it for yourself, not turn it over to
Correct.
conservation
And
or
we
all
don't
that?
have like a definitive answer. Is it gonna be trucks? Is it gonna be open storage? Like, we're gonna do what is feasible for the neighbors and feasible for us to construct over there. But as far as trees go on that end of the road, if they will allow us to plant trees, we'll happily do it. If they want us to construct the road over there, make it easier for them and have access, we'll do that. We're not here to fight. We're not here to.
I just want to get it on, my main thing is to get it on the records of the meeting tonight.
And we will 100% accommodate the board to the best that we can. Like, that whole 12-acre parcel or 9-acre parcel, that's going to be a huge buffer there. As far as the left of the road, that's already been cleared out, or whatever's going on over there, we don't know. But as far as trees or shrubs or fences, whatever the board or the neighbors, think is appropriate that we've disturbed, I'll be happy to accommodate all that.
The first part by the warehouse, there have been problems with noise with the warehouse. That's been existing since Pearl Road was built. So that's been addressed, but
And as far as the water, Mr. Stetson, I've indicated to Scott, like, anything we can do to alleviate any flooding that goes on there, bring it on our property to take care of it. Because
Okay.
what I don't want is any future flooding to go on into their property, and then I'm the bad guy. We've done a lot of building in West Bridgewater, and we want to continue to build, so like, that's what I've instructed Scott to do, is take all the water out of that property, bring it to us, and then we can deal with it, because it all goes downhill.
I got one question / concern, and then I'll open it up to everybody who's been patient in the audience. Along Spring Street, you got a number of walls. I mean, they vary in height from 1 foot to 3 foot.
Yep.
I know Pat Brennan had mentioned, at the end of Spring Street where you cut into Horsepower Lane,
Right,
that needs
sure.
to stay open because
Yes.
Spring Street is still a public way regardless.
Yep.
My concern with walls is that, especially if they're holding up the road, then that's the responsibility of the town to maintain. If a truck hits a wall or something like that, and that wall falls over into private property, there's no easement for the town to come back in and repair that wall. And probably is going to be, constructability-wise, it may be next to impossible
It's
to
gonna be
construct
tough.
that wall
Yep.
without going onto private property. I'd really like to get a 5-foot wall easement on both sides. The town actually took one last year for the River Street sidewalk. The abutter there was accommodating, and they understood, hey, it's the town's responsibility if that wall falls, and that's my biggest concern, if that can be looked into, and if any agreement can be made with, the two abutters. I know one's the homeowners association, but some sort of wall easement so that can be maintained.
Just in case.
And the other thing is the height. I don't know, if you're going to need a guardrail. If you need a guardrail, there's a whole bunch of setback requirements that you may not be able to meet, so.
Yeah, it's, as you said, for most points of the wall, it's only a foot.
Yeah.
It's just 'cause we just don't have room to grade it off. We just don't have, typically, a 3-to-1 slope. If we had 5 feet, we'd be all set. We wouldn't need a wall. It's just, it's
Well,
just
again,
bad
if you could work
keeping
with
it
the
there.
abutters, if like,
I think you only have one abutter along that whole stretch.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're dealing with,
He
yeah.
owns both lots.
Yep.
Yeah, if you could talk to them and say, hey, we'd like to grade out this way, and, you may save yourself a lot of money not doing walls if you can.
Yep.
But either way, I think an easement's going to be required because, again, it's the wall that's holding up the road. If it falls over, somebody's got to
It's legitimate, and
you know,
sooner or later, it's gonna happen.
yeah. All right, I'll open it up to the floor. If we can, one at a time, state your name and address and your concerns on the project. Justin?
Hi. So, my name's Justin Howard. I live at 5 Pearl Road. Hello, everybody. Planning board members. So, my number one concern with any additional traffic at Walnut Street is safety. I asked Sergeant Pope to pull all of the accident reports from 2020 at that specific corner. Now, for those that are not familiar with it, it is an extremely sharp corner, and there have been 19 accidents at that corner since 2020 that have been reported.
Hang on, let me get it and I'll get it outside.
Thanks. So there's been 19 accidents that have been reported, right? And I know for a fact, just from looking there, people plowing into there, backing up and just taking off. Also, at the tip of Pearl Road, that is right next to 255, where that's going to be the entrance of that road, we have young kids waiting for school buses on a daily basis. And there was one time a car almost careened into where those kids met. Actually, it did, but luckily the kids weren't there at that time. If the purpose of this is to be having 18-wheelers coming around this extremely sharp curve, that is very concerning to me. And when you look at 19 accidents that were reported, this is not a high traffic road. So that is a lot of accidents that have come through at that very small stretch of road where there really isn't that much traffic there. And if you're especially considering large tractor truck, I just don't see how that is a safe spot. The other thing that I would like to mention, I'd like the board or consider, is that when Pearl Road was initially installed, Lucini Bus, who handles the bus systems for West Bridgewater, said that they will not be turning into our road because of the dangerous curve that already exists there, and obviously because there's those 19 accidents. There's a record of that somewhere, and I'm sure I could try to find it, but that is just like, that's my concern. I know this is about the road itself being put in, but what it's going to be used for is extremely important, because if you're talking about 18-wheelers coming up and down, going down that sharp curve, and if anybody isn't familiar, go around there going 35, 40, it's a dangerous turn. And I'm just very worried about kids being out there and just having, just accidents that are going to occur, because they happen all the time.
The Lucini comment, so the bus won't come from Walnut, take that corner and then go into your road because it's
Yeah, they
too-
won't,
Okay.
they will only go that way, right? Then they go out towards Brockton and they come around
I see.
because of the sharp, because of those.
Because of that
turns,
first
yeah.
Walnut, okay.
But they also won't go down Farm Road, right?
Right, exactly.
So I think it's a Lucini issue.
Okay.
But I
Farmwood
would
hasn't been
challenge that
accepted.
issue
They
also,
should go down
because I
Pearl.
think you're absolutely right with that.
And
Yeah.
we've also put up, and just to illustrate the safety issues, we had to put a guardrail up where that is, as well as a concrete to try to protect from cars plowing in, where we have young kids waiting out there every single day, waiting for the school bus. So those are my real primary concerns I would like everybody to try to take into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
And have they reviewed the truck turning radius from Walnut on Spring, or is that already active?
It's already active now, right?
One problem I have is, you're saying you're going to maintain the same basic roadway that's going in. There isn't any. It
No.
just,
Yeah, yep.
I mean, it basically needs to be brought up level to Walnut Street, so you're not going down a hill to get into your property.
I'll just show you what the slope is there, and it is,
I mean, you're talking filling in that front part 8 feet.
yep. So we're coming in relatively flat. We're actually flattening it out, so giving you about a 40-foot shelf coming into what is now the parking area of Spring Street. So we've got roughly a 40-foot shelf that's relatively flat, and then it drops down at 8% once you get off
Because
of
to
Walnut.
call it a roadway,
Yep.
you have a paper street that existed prior to zoning,
Right.
and it's only a paper street. There is no constructed street. And I mean, there's some major work, I believe, has to be done at Walnut Street. You can't straighten the curb out. Have experience with a number of things at that location over my tenure on the fire department. I mean, it's a very, I bet you there's an almost every day.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's always skid marks. I mean, both directions, coming from Brockton and coming from Manley Street. I mean,
I would also just add that if you're taking, so let's say a truck is pulling out, I don't understand how they can make that left to go where, to get onto Manley Street and the highway. Like, I just don't.
well, it should be, the way it's going to be constructed, it's going to be almost come out straight
Yeah.
with Walnut going up towards the bridge. So there won't be this coming out of their property. So if it's built right, it should be almost like an intersection that goes straight across.
Yeah, it's pretty much right at the.
But it's still not going to stop stupid drivers, which is everywhere.
Unless you
Do we have
restrict
any,
them
other
taking a right
comments?
coming out of the, I'm sorry, unless you restrict them taking a right coming up. Or coming from the Brockton side and taking a left, that you make it only a one directional entrance to the driveway from
I would think you'd want to keep everybody.
Manley Street.
Yeah, exactly. Have as much as possible coming from Manley Street.
So like no trucks.
No right-hand turns. as
That's
you
going to be
go.
limited, because I want to say
I don't
there
know
is
how you could do
something
that with
someplace
half
on,
the road is
because that road is used by a landscaping company with
the
large
road.
trucks further up the street.
Right.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, his trucks have to slow down for the corner.
Sure.
Let me, if you don't mind, let me get back to the audience because they've been patient. Anybody, any comments, concerns, questions?
Yeah, Ken Ellis, 24 Pearl Road. So a couple of them. Well, you're talking about the new intersection. You said restrict right. Well, I'm a retired police officer. These are truck drivers. They're going to go whatever way they want unless there's an officer there. So we can put up signs all we want saying restrict left turns, right turns. It's going to happen. Also, I don't quite understand how these trucks will be able to come in and out without taking up double lanes of Walnut Street. They're just not going to be able to come in and out properly without that trailer extending out into the, each lane, taking up both, which adds to a complete scary scenario of someone coming down Walnut Street and making that turn, not seeing that trailer is going to be out, okay, while that cab is pulling in. That was one thing. The other thing is the water loop. So what you're telling me is you guys are going to dig through one of our properties to connect to the water main?
There's an existing utility easement at the end of Pearl Road, correct? That was part of the approved subdivision.
Okay, is it in one of the HOA's property?
Yes.
Or is it a
Yep.
homeowner's
Nope,
property?
I have the plans, if you just give me a second, I don't want to misspeak. Oh. Give me 1 second. So it actually does, it's a 20-foot easement on the very last lot,
On
on lot number 19.
this gentleman's lot. So
Correct.
you would have to dig through his backyard.
If he, exactly, if he goes all the way to his lot line, the easement is on his property.
He's got a fence, he's got a putting green out there, he's got a pool, basketball hoop.
Not
That's all?
knowing, not sure, I would guess none of that is in the easement, I would guess, but obviously I don't know that.
The other thing I had was that 12-acre plot
Sure.
off of Horsepower,
Yeah,
okay?
that's this area here that's zoned
Correct.
residential.
Now, that is very concerning to me. I am on the HOA. And we are having a septic issue already with our leaching field, which is at the Spring Street extension.
Right up in here, I believe.
Our second parcel, if we do have to do something, is gonna be right there at your 12-acre plot.
Yep.
And that concerns me for anything in the future for our developing of that stuff.
We're not doing anything on, on that side of Spring Street. You wouldn't be able to, if you have to reconstruct your septic system, you wouldn't be able to get out onto Spring Street. You've got to be 10 feet from the road.
I'm talking about water leaching over
I
to
get
us.
you.
Because that's our
Understood.
problem, our leaching field is, we're not leaching well. So we're already planning on having to do a whole new project.
Understood.
Okay, so that would concern me that if you do start developing that
Yep.
12 acres area, if we're going to get water runoff into our leaching field, it's gonna compromise our leaching.
I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, you can see the wetland area. It's a 12-acre piece. There's, 8 of it is wet. There's not much of a chance the Conservation Commission would let us do anything there, except to loop the water main through. There's no developable land within that residential zone there that we could use.
No 50-foot buffer there.
Right. You know what I mean? The 50, it pretty much takes up the entire property. We wouldn't be able to do anything out there.
Yeah, other than that, it's just about the safety of Walnut Street. I think it's insane to be having trucks coming and going like that, 18 wheels. Just too dangerous for us pulling out ourselves. Not just the kids, but us coming and going in our neighborhood. Having 18 wheelers taking out the double lane of Walnut Street trying to come and go.
Matthew Spade, 11 Pearl Road. As he just said, I do have concerns about the intersection of Walnut and the proposed. It's a narrow street to begin with. I don't see how tractor trailers are going to make that, negotiate that turn with any kind of safety. Speaking to the 12-acre buffer on the lower half, I mean, that's a beautiful buffer for the lower half of the street, but the upper half, where I'm right directly affected by this, there's no buffer.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to have any ability to put a buffer. I'm especially concerned about tractor trailers all hours of the day, headlights directly into my property. I know somebody made a comment about devaluing our neighborhood. This is 100% going to devalue my house directly. Maybe not some of the other properties in the neighborhood, but unfortunately for me, and I mean, it is what it is, it's directly going to affect myself and some of my neighbors. That's obviously a concern. I realize things will be developed and things do happen, but there is no buffer. And
Understood.
It's industrial with a road abutting a really nice residential neighborhood in the town of West Bridgewater. My concerns are, if they are tractor trailers and coming in out all hours of the night, Jake, great, that's a great comment, headlights directly into my property, who are the characters that are going to be there at all hours of the day? What exactly is going to be going on with this property? I'm all for development, but it has to be the right development. It has to be the right development for the area. And in my opinion, I don't see an industrial site of this caliber to be a good fit for this area. I know that he developed some property over on Manley Street. I actually thought it was great. It was a single-family home, Spadio family home. They took the house down. He developed a really nice property there. The problem is I believe there was some special limitations on the use of that land as well. And if you go by on a Sunday, they're there all hours of the day, every day of the week, using that property. I'm afraid that same thing is going to happen at this property, and it could be Sunday tractor trailers coming in and out. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a feasible development, in my opinion. And really the concern of the traffic in and out of the street, not only at the corner of Walnut and the Spring Street, but what about Manley? I mean, that intersection's sometimes more dangerous than the corner at Walnut. And daily, I feel like I'm going to get hit there just as much as I am on that bend. So I'm concerned about traffic, if it is tractor trailers. I don't know, we haven't been told exactly what it is, and I understand. So it's a little clarity of what's going on and what the true proposal is definitely, it matters.
I think just as we talked about a while ago with the landscaping, and we'll try to meet with you folks and see if we can come up with something that's agreeable to everybody. Whether the fence would certainly keep the headlights out. A row of arborvitae's grows tall and
I'm
helps.
a landscaper, so I mean,
We,
I'm willing to,
yeah.
if this is gonna be approved and there's
Yeah.
nothing we can do about it,
Then we've gotta
obviously
make
I
it
wanna
as good
be-
as we can for you.
Let's be fair to each other.
And-
But with that being said, I don't think it's a good idea. So
Understood.
I appreciate
I
everybody's
understand.
time.
So what is the appropriate use from the neighborhood? Just out of curiosity.
Houses or
Gotcha.
not?
Just curious, that's all.
Would you want tractor trailers?
Manny, is that the proposed use?
I'm being honest, that,
You don't know?
that the town knows that I'm pretty honest and straightforward. We don't know the proposed use. We are trying to just
Just
get
trying
our
to develop.
entrance before we spend hundreds of thousands in developing something that we don't even know can be used. But I will tell you, everybody that's in this room, I will listen to everybody, accommodate everybody, and the board will, I think, agree with what that I'm being said, that I am not out there to hurt anybody. Whatever the concerns are, bring them to the table. We are more than happy to help.
I do know for a fact about the buses. Okay, my wife works for the West Bridgewater kindergarten school. She's the secretary. She's the one who provided the information. She deals with Lucy all the time. They will not, because of safety, pull out of that street because of that corner. It's the same thing as far as I'm concerned. 18-wheelers are bigger than buses. That corner was not made for an industrial road.
Yeah, if what Jerry said is that it was a paper street before zoning, then how is that developable? How can you develop that?
Well, I don't think, I think the classification of that street, it's an ancient way.
Okay.
It's not a paper street per se. A paper street is something that you would subdivide and never develop. 200 years ago, that was more than likely an active road. It's considered an ancient way. Generally
still there.
doesn't have layouts or anything else, but it is considered a public way that way. Paper street's just a different
Yeah,
animal.
right, I understand.
Yeah.
So the ancient way means that it's developable?
Yeah, it just means it's a very, I think an ancient way is anything before 1840. And the town's got a lot of them. I know off the top, because we were looking at something, Grant Street's an ancient way. That's been around for a couple hundred years. Spring Street, just over the years, over the centuries, actually, just went into disuse.
And the state park's there now.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, there is state forest down water from this whole development, Hockomock, more runoff, more. And, again, we have a neighborhood, and, what kind of tractor trailers and I sorry to keep poking on that, but if it is tractor trailers and I know how trucks are, diesel, spillage, leaking oils, all this stuff going downstream into conservation and other waterways, so it's concerning. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Because I know you don't speak for the HO, but do you think they'd be inclined to agree to allow him to plant a buffer on the easement strip?
We could have a conversation about it.
You have two of them here right now, two of the three.
Well, it's been put on the table. It's an offer.
We'll come to a meeting if we're allowed to and talk about it.
I had one other question. I don't know if I have to state my name or address again. You may have already mentioned this. What is going to prevent a truck from not following that Spring Street, but actually going down that other Spring Street extension that leads to Pearl Road? Like, just be, because like I said,
Yeah, there's gonna
there's
be
going to be a
curbing.
sign.
Yeah, they would be curbing.
Okay.
They're gonna block it.
Well, doesn't that interfere with our emergency way? For a fire
No,
truck?
because that was only for construction. I do believe.
And why
I
are you
thought
maintaining?
I thought because we have
The original,
house, the waiver.
when we originally worked with Fox Brothers to do the first part up there was so much fill and so much digging that had to be done in there, that if something happened halfway and an excavator or something got stuck or something you couldn't get in. But that roadway over there was built first to be able to come in through that parking lot, because there was quite a thing to do with the owner of that warehouse, because I don't know if it's the present owner of the warehouse, but the owner back when this was all going on. wasn't a very easy to work with person. In fact, he kept putting a lock on the fence near Mark's house, and foxes kept cutting the chain. So that if you had to, you could just blast through the fence and open it up. But I know that just recently I drove into that warehouse property, and I'd be hard pressed with a chain to open that gate, because it's all bent up and debris and everything else that's in there. But that was mainly an emergency setup for construction of the first part. Because once the first part was done, all the way down to the end, it was necessary, and it mainly became access to your septic system type thing. Because it was built to town road standards minus the blacktop and drainage. I mean, they dug it out, they put 2 foot of good gravel in there all the way over to that fence.
But I thought because we have 24 houses, we've got the waiver, 23, the access road waiver for emergencies. So now you'll be blocking, let's say we do have some catastrophic thing, and we've got a ladder truck and something on Pearl Road in the first half, and now we can't get an ambulance down to the cul-de-sac because they're blocking our emergency access with the curbing. And I don't want to get rid of the curbing because I don't want them coming down.
Sure. The one thing that subdivision plan does show is one of the waivers in the plan board granting that longer than typically allowed. All the houses were supposed to be sprinkled. That was one of the conditions. So you can build a road to 2,000 feet, but the homes have to be sprinkled.
Well, an ambulance, a heart attack doesn't have anything to do with sprinklers.
What if there's a fire at the top of the road and you have, there's hoses going across it and then an ambulance needs to get down the road? And that's why I thought the whole purpose of that was so that they could come down.
Again, our road isn't going to, us constructing Spring Street as we're proposing, I think it was mentioned, I don't know if Manny mentioned it or somebody, but if, we've got no problem giving you a curb cut and giving you access or whatever it is so you can continue to have emergency access out to our stretch of Spring Street.
No, but Scott, there's no access there right now.
Right,
You
exactly.
cannot access that property from
up here.
From up there.
Right.
There's no access to be in an ambulance. So if that's what the committee wants, we would happily do that for the town. But right now, there is zero.
His fence kind of blocks
The
you
fence
folks off.
that building has.
Yeah.
And we're happy to open it up or even pave to it, whatever it is, but there is zero access to it now.
It was explained to me that by former planning board member that they would assume that they could just crash through that fence because it wasn't. That's the gate. It's just a gate. It's just a gate. So.
Just to move the meeting along, does anybody else have any new comments on the project? We've got 2 hands up. I'll go to you first.
Alan McPhee, 9 Pearl Road. My only question is, I didn't get to see the map beforehand, and that's probably my problem, but I keep hearing residential zoning, and I keep hearing industrial zoning. What zone is that property?
So this line is the zone line. So our property here is industrial.
Is that existing?
Yes, that's the existing zone line. So the top of it, the top side of Spring Street, your entire property, and then down that 12-acre parcel that we've been talking about, that's all residential. But this portion of land, all the way out to 24, and obviously beyond 24 to Manley Street, is all zoned industrial existing.
The 12-acre parcel that you keep pointing at, that's residential?
That's residential, correct.
Can we expect to see that at some point there'll be subdivision plans for that?
That's what I said to the gentleman behind you. It's all wet. And Conservation Commission's pretty strict about their 50-foot buffer zone in town, so I would say no. When you look at that wetland area in the 50 feet, there's no room to build a doghouse. So I would say no.
That's all I have right now.
Thank you.
Gentleman in the back.
Patrick Mulvihill from Mulvihill Realty and Land Use Planning in Norwood, Mass. for 255 Walnut, West Bridgewater Realty Trust that owns the property. Couple of questions I have, Mr. Chairman, just from a matter of procedure. There was department head meetings. Were the neighbors notified? Were the abutters notified about those? And I know every municipality is different as far as the notices given to the direct abutters. Were they supposed to be notified?
No, not for the department head. That's just an internal. It's more of a, I want to say preliminary presentation to the town, but yeah, it's not noted.
Very good.
Yeah.
Also the comments that were made, you have a peer review comment. You showed a paper with the peer review experts' comments on it. Any way we could get copies of that?
Yeah,
Is
I don't
that going to be
know.
on the website, or can I talk to the administrator?
Yeah, usually, a lot of times what we'll do is if somebody wants to be the point person, we can email that person and, assume that they're going to distribute it to everybody else. So I don't know if anybody wants to be in that position.
Yeah, I can give my
or-
card to the administrator or you afterwards, and if somebody could just email it to me, that'd be great.
Okay.
A couple of questions for the engineer. Spring Street right now currently constituted is a public way, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I noticed on the plans that I pulled off the website that you had some, in your own testimony, vertical granite curbing that's put on Spring Street in front of my client's property. And there's 2 curb cuts. I don't have the actual measurements as far as where they are. One towards the front, and then you have another swap towards the end of the building.
Yes.
Who decided where those would go? Was it you, or was it from input from the department head?
It was the town, the zoning bylaw only allows 2 curb cuts per property, and they also have a spacing requirement. And off the top of my head, I forget if it's 150 feet or whatever it is, but there's a spacing requirement for the curb cut. So looking at it, we're looking at the property again, trying to be fair. You've got a loading area there, so we left a large opening in front of the loading area, and you've got a parking area on the side, so we left a curb cut there. The curb cuts are the width that's allowed, by the zoning bylaw and typically allowed in the town of West Bridgewater. So it was with input from the department heads as to what they would allow.
Well, the actual locations were from you or from the department heads?
Well, as I said, with input from the department heads.
I would argue to the board that, as this gentleman said, the warehouse has been there for 60, 70 some odd years. My clients owned it for 35 of those. And he's had free and unfettered access to that property, that frontage area. With that vertical granite curbing, I would argue very respectfully that would create a hardship for the trucks that would go in there for loading and unloading and deliveries and whatnot, because there are a limited sparse numbers of 18-wheelers that do come into that property. Majority of the properties right now occupied by a company called Trio. They have box trucks. They don't have the 18-wheelers, but the deliveries from the food providers are 18-wheelers. With the vertical granite curbing, as well as what you said, sir, the gradient that's got to be brought up. I would argue, without being an engineer, that may create a real hardship for my client. And with the roadway being higher than it is right now, is that what your testimony was, sir, before?
Yeah, we're within that area, the entrance off of Walnut Street, yes, we're leveling it off, so it's going to be better for anybody, not a hardship. That entrance is going to become better. Instead of it diving straight down, we're flattening it out.
Right, but it could be a hardship for my clients.
I'm not sure how, but I suppose you could say that. I don't know how it would be. It doesn't change anything.
That's for another venue, but, I'm just putting that out there.
Can't be any worse than trying to get in there now.
Yeah.
But absolutely is the case, and that's...
You're going in there now, I've seen tractor trailers go in and come out that had to call tow trucks. Because the landing gear, it bottoms out either going in or coming out. So any change in grade would make it better for your client.
I would also agree with you, sir, that, and again, I'm from a family of truck drivers, and some of my relatives are not the brightest bulbs in the attic. They don't know how to use a GPS. You've seen in the news recently with some of the license requirements that CDL drivers are getting these licenses. There's a real safety concern there, as this retired police officer said. Of how many years, I don't know. We're not adverse to this proposal, so to speak, provided that the access that has been there for 40 some odd years is not touched in any fashion. Now, whether that's through vertical curbing being removed, whatever, and then...
I know for a fact that street is lit. If you go and list Spring Street on your GPS, it'll show you to come in from right over here by the Spring Street School, crosses North Elm Street, goes all the way up, and all of a sudden it comes to this big body of water. And at least once, twice a month, some poor truck driver drives down that road and has to back out some 600 feet through a dirt road with trees on both sides. Also, trucks not related to your client have come in off of Walnut Street because the GPS says it goes all the way out to over here. I mean, so GPS is its own problem.
Dealt with it for many years now, so you're absolutely right, sir. My last point is the residential parcel down on the property, the 12 acres, seems to be a lot of concern here in the community, from the neighbors and the abutters. There could be 3 houses from what the engineer said. There's a way to alleviate that concern altogether. You could put a codicil on the deed and say it will never be built, or you could donate
Well,
it to the
wetlands
town.
is going to determine that.
Well, this is true, but even if they carve out 2 lots.
No, it won't happen. They're not with the Conservation Commission. We got this done.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any last comments? We'll be continuing the hearing anyways, I would imagine. I don't know how long, I imagine you're still working through all these comments, and it sounds like you've got a couple of meetings to go to. I don't know, the deadline for this is June 24th. If you want to meet before then, I know our next meeting is in 2 weeks. Thanks for the date on that. I don't know if you'd be ready for that, the following.
We'll get you an extension letter tomorrow anyways on your time to act, just so we're all covered on that.
June 3rd.
Yeah, we're meeting June 3rd, June 17th. We do have another public hearing on June 17th. I think that's one of yours, too.
Yeah, I'm gonna be here anyways.
What's that?
I'm gonna be here anyways.
On June 17th?
I think so.
I don't think that was yours.
That's all right? All right, good.
Yeah.
Well, if he's gonna be here, then.
But I don't know, June 17th or the next one after that would probably be, we're probably not going to meet the first week in July, so it'd be the 3rd week in July.
If we could do June 17th, at least I'll have all of PGB's comments addressed. We can at least show it to you, discuss it. Hopefully, we can have some further discussion with the neighborhood and at least have an update for you folks. Just continue to push the ball forward a little bit.
We're already advertised the other one, Donna, for 6:30?
Yes.
Okay. So I would put this at 7, although you might be waiting a bit.
8 o'clock. Sure.
So that would be, so June 17th at 7 o'clock. Wednesday, June 17th at 7. Like I said, it might go, we have a hearing before that, which might go 45 minutes. It could go an hour, but 7, we won't start before 7 o'clock on this one. So if anybody wants to come. What else we got? Donna, we got the invoice here, the bill?
Yes, it's for the abutter mailing and the advertisements.
I don't know who's the lucky person, but
Just one thing while you're
Manny's not
redesigning-
volunteering.
He's looking the other way.
Jim, while he's going to be redoing that, where Horsepower Lane comes out, right there, can you make it more of a sweep and take the straight approach of headlights off of Mr. Spadia's house?
Okay,
Have you got room to radius that,
To come more this way?
No, go the other way.
Yeah.
To have a flatter curve, you're saying, basically,
Yes.
so they could.
So instead of the headlights coming straight out and looking at his house, they're going to be actually turning in a different direction?
I mean, as it is right now, the beginning of the curve
Yeah.
is right there at our property line.
Yeah.
Really, that's
Do we
the,
want to sweep that whole corner anyways, or?
I think it would be I think it'd be better to make it sweep the whole way through.
yeah, I mean, either way, it's a little more pavement, but it would certainly make sense to continue that curve. We could do that.
Yeah.
Um,
And that curbing you've got there, I'm sure with your imagination, that if you could leave that curbing where that right there,
Yep.
but make it at an angle that an emergency vehicle could drive over it
Could
without
jump the
having to
curb.
go thump thump.
Understood.
They
Yep.
make it a mountable curve. That's
Yeah.
what applies. You
Yeah.
put that on the plan.
Yeah,
It's called a
yeah,
mountable
yeah,
curve.
something so
Yeah,
that if you had to get in, they could do it.
It would be the
without-
emergency
without
access.
breaking the axles or anything on
Yeah.
the vehicle.
Okay. And again, for that owner there, Manny's happy to plant more trees, so we can talk about that.
He likes cutting trees.
We're gonna plant a lot of trees.
He can cut a couple and plant them there. Once he cuts them, he'll put them back.
Oh, he's good at planting trees.
All right. Can I have a motion to continue the application for this definitive subdivision to June, what do we say, 17th?
Yes, sir.
So
June
moved.
17th at 7 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks for your time, folks.
Thank you, everybody
Thanks,
for
Bill.
coming.